Hello guys, I'm back, and JM Reports is ready to give you your weekly news for the next 5 days. Just to let you guys know, if you are wondering, on this channel I do not post videos Saturday through Sunday. Mostly just that's my day off for to get all my other stuff in personal life done and not have so much work. But that's going to be usually the case. I'll be posting mostly for everybody that wants to know some pop culture crisis issues, or rather just pop culture in general, to kind of address that and see how we're battling with that in the US, because there's also things separate from this. And then we'll also have other news that would be coming in that would be more political in nature, and we would go over that as probably one of the big ones. And then we'll go over at least one video that would be more of the manosphere, or rather anything that would pertain with men's rights or what's happening in men in general, because that's also a huge thing that should be addressed. Without further ado, let's start with the actual video. And today, this one is quite interesting because we have today Jack Brewer files police report against MSNBC host Joy Reid over comments about black children being used at DeSantis photo op. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, one thing I like to say about Joy Reid, which is that is unfortunately a horrible thing, is that Joy Reid is a terrible human being. She actively divides and spreads hate among people, and I don't think this should be allowed. Specifically, some people might actually, disagree with me there. Probably the far left of people that would disagree. But this person actively says that she doesn't like racism and is against racism. Yes, she is probably most likely the most racist person that I could possibly see that would be spouting she's that anti-racist.
As the world watches the devastation unfold in Ukraine, nearly 4,000 miles away, another crisis is deepening that we don't hear much about in the U.S., and that is the war in Yemen. In March of 2015, a Saudi-led coalition, backed by the United States, intervened militarily in Yemen in a bid to fight Iran-backed Houthi rebels. It has triggered one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world due to widespread hunger, disease, and attacks on civilians. 4 million Yemenis have been forced to flee their homes. Now, what we're seeing in Ukraine is absolutely the worst humanitarian crisis that Europe has seen in decades. But we haven't witnessed the same type of solidarity for the Yemenis as we do for the Ukrainians. We don't see historic sanctions or global campaigns, corporations like Airbnb and Netflix taking a stand. And this is not to say that we shouldn't care this much for Ukraine. Far from it. The point is, we should also care this much for refugees and those facing occupation and war in the Middle East and Asia and Africa, too. The coverage of Ukraine has revealed a pretty radical disparity in how human Ukrainians look and feel to Western media compared to their browner and blacker counterparts, with some reporters using very telling comparisons in their analyses of the war. Okay, let's face it. The world is paying attention because this is happening in Europe. If this was happening anywhere else, would we see the same outpouring of support and compassion? Well, we don't need to ask ourselves if the international response would be the same if Russia unleashed their horror on a country that wasn't white and largely Christian, because Russia has already done it in Syria. This is a teachable moment for us in the media. We aren't afraid to call out our own industry. There is a lot of soul searching that we need to do in Western media about why some wars and lives seem to matter more than others, and why some refugees get the welcome mat while others get the wall.
Not particularly racist against black people, but mostly racist against white people. And see, the thing is that in today's society, you can be racist towards black people. But you can't be racist towards white people, which is quite insane, to be honest. I don't understand how this has come to fruition, besides, the media kind of spinning this and kind of say, like, oh, white people are the worst people in existence and whatever. And this is kind of the stuff that Joy Reid spews, and it's a huge problem to me, and I don't think this should be ever allowed. So let's get their story straight. And this Joy Reid is a terrible human being, and I don't think should be allowed to spread this kind of hate that divides people. Now, I know some people on the First Amendment, and which I would also agree, is that she should have the right to say whatever she wants because of, First Amendment, and I actually do agree. It's just, in my personal opinion, and I guess this would be kind of censorship deal, is that I don't like it when people specifically spread hate and divide, and that's what she's doing. This is also part of the reason why there's such division in the country, because people like this are on a platform and they're actually spreading hate and division and causing issues with other people, and I don't specifically like that. But let's move on with the article. The former NFL player wrote in a letter to the NBC host that her remarks placed these kids in danger. Former NFL player Jack Brewer is asking MSNBC host Joy Reid for an apology after he filed a police report against the cable news anchor last weekend over a comment she made that criticized a group of black boys being pictured with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis during the signing of an anti-critical race theory bill, which I would 100% agree. We should not need the critical race theory bill. Same thing as we don't need teachers, teaching our kids about anything sexual at all. So, come on, guys. On 23rd of April, the Florida governor signed a measure already being challenged in court over First Amendment concerns that would regulate what teachers can discuss around racism, sexism, and issues of systematic inequality in the classroom, which there is none, honestly. I mean, if you even do a slight bit of reporting or of information, you would find out that systematic racism is not really a thing because we have laws that prevent systematic racism. I mean, California released a 209 bill, which specifically says that you cannot discriminate against people of color, and specifically women. That's what the 209 bill does. Now, I specifically remember that California was trying to actively get rid of this so-called bill and cause a whole stir. So technically, California was trying to remove this so you could discriminate against not just black people, but everybody, and including women. Luckily, that was shut down. But I digress. There's not inequality. You could actively do enough research to know that there is no inequality. There's no systematic racism, because how could there be when we have laws actively preventing this from happening? The bill, which Mr. DeSantis aptly named Stop Woke, Stop the Wrongs to Our Kids and Employees, was signed while several attendees in support of the controversial legislation stood behind the governor for a photo op, including a group of black boys, which the MSNBC host seized upon as evidence of something untoward. What? Guys? This misuse of black boys is tantamount to child abuse, the MSNBC host, the reid out tweeted on the day the bill was signed, while sharing a post from Democratic Florida State Governor Chevron Jones that called the photo indoctrination. I would really like to hear the backstory on who these kids were and how they wound up at a DeSantis event, given how anti-black DeSantis is using black children this way is extra sick. She continued. Yeah, I don't think Ron DeSantis is anti-black. So I don't know where you're getting that from, but you're a lunatic and also a racist towards white people. So I would not be actually surprised at all. And this is her lovely little tweet here that specifically goes over this. Oh, yeah, nice. Twitter with a black fist. What a great person. This person really looks like a great person to be with. On Friday, the former NFL philanthropist shared a letter that he'd penned to the MSNBC host exclusively with Fox News, and inside he slammed Miss Reid for the tweet she sent, which included a photo focusing on 3 black children who were holding signs condemning critical race theory. Mr. Brewer contends that the children who Miss Reid said were being used as props during the bill's signing are members of school programs he found, including the Serving Institute and the Heroes program. Miss Reed's reckless test statements place these kids in danger. Certain people motivated by Reed's comments are fiercely trying to figure out their identities, Mr. Brewer wrote in his letter to Miss Reed, adding that he demanded a public apology by May 2nd. Why do they have this? What is with the Independent? Hello, guys? He continues to say on Twitter that Joy Reid should be fighting on this side of the table, the side that's trying to uplift our children versus make them into victims. I pray that one day the light turns on in her head and she repents for all the words that come out of her mouth. I would agree. The families are forced to deal with harassment by the media and being shamed by members of the community for their presence at the event. My foundation was forced to add security and police presence at our facilities. In addition to this public apology, the former NFL star said during a series of interviews with Fox News hosts last week that a police report had been filed against the MSNBC host last week. Oh my! Oh my, oh my, oh my. Well, that's certainly a problem. For her. You know. When you put out to 2.1 million followers to go and find out where my kids are and who they are and who brought them, that's a direct threat, Mr. Brewer said while giving an interview on Fox and Friends with host Steve Ducey. And from our buddy here, Ron Flipkowski? That's right? That's his last name? We're gonna go with that. Former NFL player Jack Brewer says he has filed a police report against MSNBC host Joy Reid after she posted comments on Twitter against black children from his school being used as props against Senator DeSantis press conferences. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Writing in a follow-up tweet to our original one that called into question the presence of the young black children at the governor's bill signing event, Ms. Reid wrote that she'd heard from a source that the boys in this picture attended a Miami charter school, but she wouldn't name the school to spare from the MAGA harassment threats. Yeah, I don't know about that one. It's usually the far left that goes that far, not usually the MAGA people. Granted, there are some MAGA people that would be horrible and horrific, but it's usually the far left that's doing this, not the right. Correction. The far right, potentially. Just right, not so much. They may have not known in advance why they were there, she continued. Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't. Mr. Brewer, a Democrat turned Republican and now devout Trump supporter, attended a rally in Nebraska over the weekend where the former president appeared alongside Charles Herbster, a gubernatorial candidate accused of sexual misconduct by at least 8 women. Oh my. Well, that's a problem. Mr. Herbster has denied any wrongdoing and has not faced any charges over allegations. Now, here's one thing I would also like to go about with one thing is that I do not really believe allegations against men anymore, and this is mostly due to the fact that the Me Too movement has gone so far to where it will accuse men of doing something and there's no actual proof, and I'm not one of those people that will go and say, oh, well, believe all women and, guilty until proven innocent. No, it's innocence until proven guilty because we have people's lives destroyed by this. And I don't like this, so I'm not going to believe anything that the media says about either Democratic or Republican because I want to know the actual evidence first before I make my assumption. Mr. Trump said over the weekend in the rally that Herbster has been badly maligned and it's a shame. That's why I came out here. While Mr. Brewer, who donned a red that emblazoned with Herbster's name across the top, blessed the group with a prayer. Let's demand that they put prayer back in our schools, he said. To the cheering group, many holding up signs of their own that read Trump's re-election tag. Save America. Let's demand that they get rid of the CRT and all transgenderism. Yep. I would agree. Mr. Brewer told Fox News in an interview that police in the area had stepped up their presence at the facilities where the children in the photo attended after-school programs. Unlike how Ms. Reid characterized it in her tweets, the children, Mr. Brewer explained to the news outlet, were aware of the event, that they were attending and were part of a program that he launched in 2021 that taught prepared students and parents for the realities of critical race theory. Our kids are very aware of the diverse ideology of CRT and are instead trained on biblical-based principles of equality and pouring into their anointing as mighty children of God, he wrote in the letter. Well, guys, there you have it. So, yes, I would agree that a lot of this is insane. And Joy Reid is a maniac and also what we call a racist. And I say this mostly because she's been caught being a racist, so I'm not quite sure how we could really go on and saying how she's not. But yeah, that's quite interesting news. Hopefully she gets the just desserts that she is deserved, but we'll find out later. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Thanks for watching this clip from my podcast that I make every day, Monday through Friday, 3 o'clock p.m. PST to all the way to 5 o'clock p.m. PST. If you like what you see, please subscribe, like, and comment. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.